Hello, I'm Michelle Takio Bende, Chief Hugger, Coach, and Consultant from Happen Training and MI Happen CIC. A few weeks ago, I was asked to come and talk to the sales team at Adobe in the UK to help them understand a bit more about professional coaching as they are starting to think about what to spend this year's personal development allowance on. And so in that session, it was, a session for about 45 minutes, just talking about what professional coaching was. And they had lots of great questions for me. So I thought I would cover some of the questions that we talked through in the session with you today, because hopefully it'll be helpful for you guys too. Before I start, I just want to share a stat which I shared with them at the beginning of our session, which, blew me away, to be honest. So I'm going to read it to make sure I get it right. So the stat says, in 2025, the International Coaching Federation, also known as ICF, commissioned a global coaching study run with PwC, and it was looking at the global industry revenue for coaching. And so they said that the global coaching industry revenue reached 5.34 billion US dollars in 2025, up from previous years, with a record of about 123,000 professional coach practitioners worldwide. And that was a 15% increase from 2023. So I don't know about you, but what that says to me is that professional coaching is obviously a booming industry, and there are lots of people out there that are gaining the benefits and receiving the transformations that professional coaching can bring. So that's really exciting. But there were four, I guess, key questions that I was asked, or three questions that I was asked. So one was, how do you know what type of coach you need? My answer there, I guess, centered around think about what it is you want to work on. So, for example, if you know that actually there are a number of different topics you want to work on. So, an example that was used that was brought in this session was around, well, I want to work on sales. So, do I need a sales coach? And I want to work on, my time management, how I show up, my leadership presence. Can a sales coach do that too? Or do I need to be working with a leadership coach? Do I need to be working at both at the same time? Really great question. I think if I was to answer that question, I would encourage you to think about what's the most important for you to work on right now. It might be that actually you need both a sales coach at some point and a leadership coach at another point. But sometimes people find it a bit overwhelming doing both at the same time. So really think about what's the most important thing that you want to work on for your development right now and start there. The reason why I say start there is because you might find that the things you are learning about the topic that is, most important to you, you might be able to transfer the skills that you're learning there into other areas and improve other areas. So, for example, you might want to, like, if those two were your examples, I would say, but clearly I'm biased given what I do, but I would say start with leadership coaching, start to build your skills there and develop your skills there, because you might find that actually some of the tools, the techniques, and some of the thinking that you get through by looking at that specific topic will enable you to apply them in the sales context, for example, or if it's not sales and it's fitness or health, you might be able to apply those things in other areas. Now that doesn't mean that you're one and done, so you will never need, in that example, a sales coach. It just means that you might want to start one area first, and then when you start to see improvements, make developments there, it might enable you to make other improvements in other areas before you then look to get a sales coach. I should stress that some people have multiple coaches and use multiple coaches at the same time. So I'm not saying do one, like do them sequentially. I had to think about that there. I'm saying you know yourself best. So first, think about what's most important to you, and then think about how actually you work best. Are you someone that's able to juggle multiple things at the same time, giving them both the same effort? There's lots of research out there that says either way, actually, on that point. Or are you someone that needs to focus on one thing first, kind of get going on that thing, maybe finish that thing for some before you pick up something else. That will kind of give you an indication as to where to start. No surprises. A lot of my answers to the questions that came up in the session were it depends, and it really does depend. And hopefully the answer I've just given to that question gives an example of what I mean by that. Another great question I was asked that I wanted to share with you is, how do you find a coach? I want to start, I guess, by just going back to the stat that I shared at the beginning, and that is that, you know, the research shows that 5.3 billion US dollars is generated in revenue globally from professional coaching. To me, what that means is that, you know, a lot of people clearly are using coaching and being benefited from it. So one of the first things you can do if you're trying to find a coach, ask people, you know, speak to people. You know, I'm trying to improve in this area. Does anybody know of any coaches that specialize in this area, that work in this area, that can help me, that you've used in the past, that might be able to help me? You could also, you know, use LinkedIn. You could use Google search. You could use Gen AI now. There are so many different avenues that you can source names of coaches or coaching companies that offer coaching. And once you have that name, research them. So before I come on to what I mean by research, just want to say another way you can find a coach is by looking on directories. So a lot of the coaching federations or associations, so the ones I'm thinking of, obviously, are ICF, International Coaching Federation. I think the other one is called Association of Coaches, so AC or AOC, I guess, might be the acronym. But every country will have some kind of governing body for professional coaches. It might not be a country, it might be a region that governs that your country is under. But essentially, have a look on their directories. Find the names, people in your area. You know, have a look at what they specialize in, to give you a list. Once you've got your list, do your research. So lots of good coaches offer free content in some way, whether that's a website, whether that's social media, whether that's inputting into some groups on Facebook, on LinkedIn, YouTube channels, TikToks, you know, Instagram. There's so many different accesses to coaches for free before you even get to paying for somebody. So yeah, consume their content, have a look at their content, get a feel for what they're like, get a feel for the sorts of things that they say, to help you understand whether this is someone that you could work with. Yeah, and I would say once you've got a feel and you're ready to, you're ready to make a decision and start coaching, have coaching conversations. I think in our world we call them chemistry meets, but intros, you know, chemistry meets, clarity calls, they're all kind of the same thing. Meet the potential professional coach, and yeah, spend some time with them. Chemistry meets are, I think I explained it in my other video, but just in case you haven't seen it, chemistry meets are an opportunity for you to find out more about the coach, find out more about their specialism, find out more about what they think they can offer or what type of coaching they do, and get a sense for whether or not you feel that you can work with them. As I've mentioned in the past before, coaching really relies on trust. So when you're talking to this person, when you're having a conversation with this person, you need to be thinking in the back of your mind, do I feel safe? Do I feel comfortable and able to be completely honest with this person? Because remember, this person's holding a thinking container for you primarily. And so you need to think, will I be able to share my thought process with often a stranger? You know, does this person feel like someone I can do that with? Good chemistry meet sessions will give you an opportunity to experience what it's like to be coached by them as well. So not only will you be having a conversation and finding out more about their services, they should be really giving you an opportunity to experience what coaching might feel like with them for free. So that by the end of the chemistry meet, you have an idea whether it's someone you want to work with or not. It's okay to have multiple chemistry meets. A good coach, again, will be completely used to meeting people regularly. if a coach isn't for you, whilst we're all humans and it might be bruising, actually it's best for you as the potential coachee to find a coach that you're willing to work with. Also, you might find that you start working with someone and then it's not working. Again, be brave, have the bold conversation, and figure out how to end that coaching relationship. Well, that coach might also think, maybe I can't help this person, and might be able to recommend a different coach for you. So, yeah, kind of get a sense from a couple of different, especially if you've never had coaching before, get a sense from a few coaches. And then make a decision based on who you think would work best for you. Another actual question, sort of a side question that came from that was, can you go to the same coach more than once? Yeah, of course you can. If you've worked with someone in the past on something, you love the way they work, it's a new problem, it's something else you want to work with, and they have the capacity to take you on, and your diaries align, why not? Of course you can use a coach again. The final thing I wanted to cover is what you do next. So if you want to know more about coaching from me, you can obviously reach out to me and book a chemistry meet. I can leave my details in the description. You can check out, I'm pretty sure I've got a video on most of the platforms I'm on that covers what professional coaching is and isn't from an executive coaching and a leadership coaching perspective, because that's what I do. But there are synergies actually, and there are similarities in other coaching as well. I've also got a free interactive webinar coming up where I'll be exploring professional coaching. For those of you that were at Adobe, I mean, you're welcome to join again, but it's going to be covering pretty much the same content. And again, the details will be out from that shortly. It's going to be in a couple of weeks. I think at the moment the date will be the 5th of August, but once I've got that firmed up, I'll share that on all of my various areas that you can get information from me too. Great. I hope this has been helpful. Look out for the next video. And if you haven't already, obviously I'm saying I'm going to put the information out there. If you don't follow me on somewhere or you're not connected with me, then, and you're interested, get connected. And then you'll be able to find out more information about the interactive webinar. All right. Take care.